Hello, in today's book haul video, I'm going to show you the results of 2 trips to North London to visit some bookshops, which I don't visit very often, but given the lack of books in South London, I thought I would give it a try. First one was not from a bookshop, but from a charity shop. It is this one, Blood of the Chosen by Django Wexler. It's the second book in a new series. The first series, The Shadow Campaign, was 5 books, which I have in paperback. So I thought I would get this. It's the first printing in immaculate condition at only £2. I've never read Django Wexler, so I can't really comment about him. If you've got any views, please leave them in the comments. And again, another one I found before I got to the bookshop was this one, Ursula Le Guin, Orsina. Now this is an omnibus of Malafrina, which I have at least 2 copies of, and Orsinian Tales, which I don't have. It was only a couple of pounds, so I thought I'd buy this, and if I ever pick up Orsinian Tales, then I will have a reading copy. And I say that because there's a crease, not obvious on the camera, but there's a crease in the bottom corner, so this can be a reading copy if I ever find a copy of Orsinian Tales. And finally I got to the bookshop I was aiming to before I went off to a Wetherspoons with a friend, and while I was in there and waiting for him, I started chatting to the manager, and he allowed me to see some of the books he had in the back. Not a great selection, and I was umming and ahhing, and he gave me a bit of a discount. So these are the 3 books that I bought from there. So not as good as I hoped, but anyway, the first 2 are a pair of books by Josepha Sherman. I've never heard of her before. I've never read any of her books. The labels are still on the back, and I'm uncertain whether to try and remove them. The charity shop had also put price labels on the back, and when they came off, they took off. You probably can't see. I would have to try and juggle the light. I think maybe you can see there. The charity shop label took off some of the sheen. So I've been a bit reluctant to try and take the older Murder One labels off. So I can't say much about those. Indeed, that applies to most of the books you're going to see today. And the other one I got from that charity shop was this, Gene Wolfe, Soldier of the Mist. Now, I've never read any Gene Wolfe, I have to admit. And when I saw this, I was in 2 minds whether to buy, but I didn't have the paperback. And so, chatting to the manager, he saw I was hesitating, so he gave me a modest reduction. So I got the 2 Shermans plus this for £10, and I thought that was a reasonable deal. It's the first printing in nice condition, not price clipped. So that's my first Gene Wolfe hardcover. And that was it for the first trip. I'll just pause the video. On my second trip to North London, I visited 2 bookshops that I knew about. They were close together and not near any charity shops, so I didn't go in any charity shops that day, or at least not any in North London. I'll cover the charity bookshop first, and the first books I'm going to show you are these, a set of 3, but I gather there are 6 in the series. The Witches of Lichford by Paul Cornell. And that, I think, is the first one in the series. It's probably in the worst condition of the 3, but they're all generally quite nice condition, and they were £1 each. Another author I've never read. I've got 2 or 3 books by him, but I can't say much about him because I've never read him. So if you like the series or any comments about it, by all means add a comment at the end. And the other one I bought in the charity bookshop was this. Stephen Erickson, Rejoice. This was £2. I've got a fair number of books by Stephen Erickson. I hadn't got this one, and I thought for £2 it wasn't a bad deal. There's a slight scratch on the back, not particularly obvious. Maybe you can, I don't know whether that shows it even. So that was it from the charity bookshop. And the nearby ordinary bookshop, I was sad to learn, had decided to close, and they were gradually doing a sell-off. And they'd reduced all of their science fiction and fantasy, so I bought some books. And I actually got an A format paperback. This one, The January Dancer, by Michael Flynn. Now, I've only ever seen a very small number of books in the UK by him. This is the 3rd one I have. They were all American editions, so I've no idea. I haven't researched whether he was ever produced in by English publishers. But that was near perfect condition, and because it was a sale, that was £1. Originally that had been £3.99 and I probably wouldn't have bothered, but now it was down to £1. I bought that. I'll come back to that one. Another one I got, again, because it was a paperback, £1, Gwyneth Jones. I did see someone do a review of a Gwyneth Jones recently on YouTube, and he was reasonably impressed. I have 1 or 2 by her. Again, an author I've never read, so I'm not able to say much about this. This one's called Spirit. Another book that I bought that I was somewhat unsure whether to bother with was this one, Who Fears Death by Nnedi Okorafor. Now, I've seen many American editions of this book. I'd never seen the British edition, so I thought I'd take a chance. It was half the marked price, and then she gave me another little reduction, so I got it for £4.50. So I thought that was a reasonable price for a book that I hadn't seen. I looked on Bookfinder. There didn't seem to be many copies, but there were a few on eBay. But £4.50 doesn't seem excessive for that. And finally, from that bookshop, another £1 paperback, The Returned by Seth Patrick. Now, I have seen episodes from that series. I don't think I watched the whole thing. I didn't really have a strong view about it. I wasn't overly impressed. So if you'd like to comment. But before I do that, I'm going to show you a book that I did find in South London. And that was, excuse me, this one. Same title, The Returned, by Jason Mott. So 2 books came out within a year of each other, and as far as I can tell, around the time of the Return series, and I think there was another series. So if anyone is interested in that series, has got any recommendations, should one read this version of The Returned or the other one? Do you have any views on it? As I say, I haven't read either of the authors. In fact, I think these are both the first book I have by each author. And the other thing, I may show you this again when I do my review from for South London Books, but this one was signed. So I thought that was a reasonable buy, and as I've said, I am a bit of a sucker for signed books. So that concludes my North London early May book haul video. Thank you.